Response podcast. I'm so pumped about this episode. We're going to be talking about an everyday winner here and now correlating with Joseph. And this is my friend, Alisha. We have known each other since junior high, a long time. And in talking about Joseph, he was a man of amazing character. He had so much integrity. He was wise. He was a man of honor, a man of forgiveness. And he started off as a slave and went to jail, falsely accused. And the Lord was able to keep him and raise him up to become one of the most influential leaders in Egypt at that time. And as Jen and I were kind of talking, he had a servant's heart. He was just able to be used in such a way. And we were talking, and I thought of Alisha because I've seen her life just grow in such a beautiful way. And I shared with the viewers a few podcasts ago that I fell back into drinking, and actually part of her testimony that I saw on Facebook really inspired me and very admirable. So we're going to interview her today and just kind of hear about her life story and what the Lord's done. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Yes. So I like to tell people that I'm 23, but I have a 25-year-old who's almost 26, which kind of puts me in perspective age-wise. As Crystal knows, she said I've known her since junior high, so she probably knows a lot of my story that even though it comes out, it's hard for me to talk about because it wasn't a very happy childhood. I found a lot of my happiness with my friends or with school, my extracurricular activities. But growing up was just a little bit challenging. I was pregnant when I was a junior in high school and found out my mom and I were pregnant at the same time. And we were also kicked out of our house that year. And so I had to learn how to grow up very fast. At 17 years old, I was pregnant, homeless, at one point living in my car. But then what really I always tell people, like, I could have probably survived anywhere just because that's how I had taught myself to live, is by survival. But if it wasn't for like my little brothers who I grew up with, being raised by my single mom, if it wasn't finding out how they were really struggling, I probably wouldn't have pulled my life together as fast as I did, because I had to get custody of them while I was pregnant and try to get housing. I was 17 years old, and trying to apply for housing isn't easy because not a lot of people want to rent to a single mom anyways, but being a kid myself, was just a little bit challenging. So I remember to get my first house, he was asking like $1,200 a month, and I offered him $1,300. And he was like, well, this has never happened before. And I'm like, I'm desperate. Like, I'm going to have my baby in like the next 2 months. And, so we were able to move into a house. I had custody of my 2 little brothers, and then I had my baby. So before I was 18 years old, I had 3 children. And I had Crystal. I always want to call my friends and be like, what did you remember about me? Because it was such a blur. Like, I just had to survive, but Crystal may remember. It was like the very first year, and it was an awful idea, but God was there with me then, to have a pregnancy school inside of our school. Like, we were the only high school who ever thought it was a good idea to be able to have, but it was the only way that I was able to stay in high school, So again, I don't know how much Crystal remembers, but I swore I was going to be this big actress. So I had to drop out of drama, which was a hard thing for me because my elective was now in the nursery. But again, I knew that I couldn't survive because I knew that I had mouths to feed and, all of these things. So I knew I just had to do what I needed to do to survive. So I went to LC Allen, our high school, and brought my baby there. And Izzy, it's funny, I look back, and out of all 3 of my children, I only have like 1 real baby book. And I was such a good mom. Like, I was such a good mom to him. And I have everything documented from all my days of pregnancy to how I felt. It was just beautiful. Like, you have multiple children and you're kind of like, baby books are overrated, but with Izzy, I just gave it my all, and I'll probably tell this story throughout the questions you guys ask me, but I feel like everything happens to me for a reason, and I believe that that pregnancy school was there that only 1 year. It stopped as soon as I graduated, which was random, but I think there's so many victims in this world. Poor me. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. And as much as I could say that about my life's actually opposite. Like every time I felt like giving up, I felt like he just kind of nudged me, and it was like the nudge that I needed to be like, okay, I could do this, I could do this. So I graduated high school and well, I don't even know well, you went back to school because you were a year younger than me, but I don't even know what anyone did. I put myself through college a week and a half after high school started because again, there was no option for me, there was just no option. So holy cow, you guys asked me about my life. So let me just tell you really quick. I'm married. I've been married for 18 years. I have 3 children, not including my 2 brothers that I raised. And I'm a real estate agent.
Here's one thing about you, and this is something we had just got done saying with Joseph. Even when he was in the prison, even when he was a slave, his attitude didn't change. And you always, I mean, we did drama together for what, 2 or 3 years? And I mean, talk about star of the show. You would get up there and it was just like, I think I actually got hit in the face with the shoe while you and I were doing a
Yes, you did. Because I had to get into it, girl. That was the only, again, it was like, maybe this is how I'm going to get out of this mess that I'm in. Like maybe someone will see me. And you have to know my life was always a joke. Like if I had to act my way through my whole life. So for me, being up on the stage where you guys were all like, oh my gosh, it was the only time I got to like really be somebody else.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of sad when you think about it, like when you lean into all of the different things that have happened and you're like, oh, I didn't know that I was really feeling that way, or I didn't realize, but
Well, and besides that too, I mean, in that class, of course, we had a ton of fun, but you always, and I just always have this picture of you too in like your cheerleader outfit and just tennis, or was it cheerleader or tennis or both?
all of it. I
Okay.
tried and you guys, when I was in 3rd grade, I was or 5th grade, I was in advanced band. I had never played an instrument ever. And I faked my way through every single thing. And then the final was an individual. And I had to finally come clean that I had no idea how to play the flute. And I'm in an advanced band where you have to take like, I don't know how I tricked them into, but like, that was my life. Like, honestly, I don't know because it was always, I mean, all of our friends, I was the only one that I don't know why your parents ever let you come to my house because I was the only one that didn't have anyone there who cared kind of, so I was always, in fact, Crystal, you'll appreciate this maybe. I remember one time I was at Mo's house and I was in her bedroom and her mom's talking to her and she's going like this, when is her mom gonna ever come to pick her up? It was like 5 o'clock the next day. And my kids always thought it was so weird growing up because I would be like, I'm going to be there at 9:30 or 10. And they'd go, no, like, we want to play. No, their parents are supposed to raise you. Mo's mom won't get out of my head. Like, when is her mom going to ever come and get her? And it like, there are so many things about our childhood that do play into the type of adult that I am. And I have this, you guys will both appreciate it. She's over there. It's me at like 10 years old and I have to talk to her sometimes and I have to say like, I don't need you anymore. Like, I don't need you to protect me. I don't need you to create that shell. Like, I don't need you anymore, because a lot of it still shows up the way that I parent. And it's like, it's okay to be okay with your choices, like I don't have to be this type of person because everybody's expecting that I'm not, it's like, anyways, just weird stuff that comes out, based on what your childhood or past, has kind of caused, whether it's stories in your head or just who you become,
Yeah, that is one thing. You never gave off the poor me pity party thing. You know what I mean? You just always had cheerful, happy countenance. Everybody wanted to be around Alisha. I mean, all the all the things. And I just see what the Lord has done with that. how he's taken your personality and how that attitude has gotten you to where you are now and the family you have and the profession.
But I truly believe that all of the, not awful, all of the different things that have happened in my life has happened because he believes I have the strength to overcome it, to share. Like, because if I just felt like, God, why did you almost make me get divorced? Why did you turn me into an alcoholic? Why did you hate my kids? Then that does cause me to go, are you even real? But it's like I just was able to change the way that I looked at that and change the way I thought about it to be able to truly say, like, thank you for choosing me to be the alcoholic that you knew is strong enough to get past it and brave enough to share the story, because you never know the one person anytime. I mean, I should do more, but it happens to be on my anniversary. I just find it to be like appropriate to share my story. But I am embarrassed of a lot of stuff that's happened, but I'm not. Because again, I could look at it and go, if I never got the courage to share, then it could have all been for naught, right? But ever since I changed my attitude to be able to say, thank you for letting me sleep in my car. If it wasn't for me experiencing those things, I don't know if I would have had the courage 2 years ago to start a nonprofit for single moms to become homeowners. I don't know if I would have had the vision. I don't know if I didn't almost get divorced, I wouldn't really appreciate the marriage that I have. I wouldn't understand what it's like to really be successful, because it's not about business, it's about the relationships, but again, it's all of those things that I just go, but okay, sometimes I'm done with you using me like as like I'm strong enough, but like just give me a break a little bit. But really, it's not, because there's 1,000 other people before me that I have an opportunity to help.
Well, and the choices that you've made have caused you to come out of everything. You made the choice to not quit. You made the choice to go to the pregnancy school and take the nursing as or the nursery school as your elective. The choices that you made to offer the landlord $1,300 instead of $1,200. Different choices that you made, but then we have a choice to get out of it too. And that's where he's right there to help us
Yeah.
and pull you out and give you that strength to do it.
Well, and we've talked about too, those things that you've gone through, your obedience to share those things. Boy, does that help people that are in those situations to hear that, okay, well, she went through that, but look at where the Lord has brought her now, because she didn't quit. She didn't stop. You kept going. And that brings people hope, because there's a lot of people that are in those same situations that don't see a way out. But when they have an example put before them of someone that's brave enough to share and vulnerable enough to share where they have been, but then where God's brought them. And that's why we have those thoughts so often to not share, because it could be embarrassing, or we get in our
We
head.
open ourselves up for judgment. That's
Right.
not
What
fun,
are people going to think about me? Right. That's the
Yes.
thought. Yes. But that's just such a lie, because most people aren't even thinking about us. They're thinking about themselves. And when we can share what's gone on and give them hope, that's worth people judging.
It's never something that I go, oh, you're right, I should feel bad. I look at them and I just go, there's hope for you too. Like I used to feel that way. Hurt people though, right? And if you're judging other people, there's something inside of you that's also hurting,
Yeah.
True.
So good.
Did you have any dreams and a vision that helped you keep going? Did you see yourself further along at times where it might have seemed really hard? Was there something in you that kept you pushing?
I think for me, the one negative, but again, I always try to look for positives. I constantly have a fear of failure. Like it is so deep inside of my core that I I can taste what it's like to not have food. I can feel what it's like to live in my car. And even though that will honestly never happen again, that fear is still in that's why I keep my picture of myself over there, where I have to talk to her and say, I don't like, bye, like you served me for so long, but I don't need you anymore, so, and the truth is that I grew up with an addictive personality family. I grew up watching what my choices my parents made. And it's really hard for me to understand if you have an alcoholic family for you to become one, because God gave us a perfect example of someone that we never want to be. And yet the easy thing to do is to make those easy choices to throw in the towel, whether it's on your dreams, your hopes, your faith, your, relationships. Like, it's always easier to quit, right? So for me, it's like, and that's where I pray too and go, make me softer there, because that's not fair, right? I shouldn't look at someone who's been abused their whole life and then who chooses to abuse their kids. But when people tell me that I'm an anomaly and most people who were raised the way that I were don't turn out that way, I don't understand. I literally go, you had if you were born like you, Crystal, you had great parents. You don't know what it's like to not have them. You could choose to raise the girls different and to go, well, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do this. But I literally know what it's like to never have a mom show up for anything, to play every single sport, not because you were good at it, but because someone saw you.
So when did you first hear about God? And was there anybody in your life who was influential in ministering to you about the Lord or leading you to the Lord or anything that way?
So we went to church when I was growing up for free donuts. It was the church gave out donuts, and it was the way that my mom fed us. I don't know if we actually ever went in the church or if we just went to the church and did those things. All my memories is that. And then I don't know if you'll remember her, Crystal, but her name was Randy. We're still actually friends. I lived with her at the time when we were homeless, when we didn't have a home, and growing up, like we didn't have a home a lot of the different years. Like, then my mom would find housing and we would all come back together. So at one point I lived with Carolyn, Randy's mom, and we went to youth group every week. And it was interesting for me because it was a place where I felt like I could belong. But I never wanted to be the person that like shoved Jesus down your throat. But I'm also not afraid to share my love for him. I'm not afraid to say that if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would be where I am. If it wasn't for him, I would be divorced.
How do you continue to grow in your relationship with God?
I think it's constantly trying to be at his will, constantly forgiving. If I'm snappy with my husband, it's not taking a day. It's apologizing quickly. It's when Bree comes home and tells me something very inappropriate, it's not a reaction, right? Like, those are the ways that I honor God, because I think what God wants me to do is have incredible relationships. And it's not so much my self discussions with him. It's more, who does he want me to be? What decisions does he want me to make? How does he want me to behave to people? And if I do make a mistake, he's not the one going, you know better. That's where I'm going, I know better, and being able to forgive myself, right? And then say an apology. But I think for me, I truly believe that he is somebody that I'm always proud to be on his good side. And I know that sounds weird, but I just feel like when I can make the secret decisions of being a good person, that's how I'm honoring him. I'm honoring him by sharing. I'm honoring him by trusting that I believe in him, which is why I'm so vulnerable. I'll never not believe. He has given me, and if we all listen, like, he's there all the time. We just aren't brave enough to do the things.
Well, thank you, Alisha, and thank you, our listeners, for joining the Winning Response today.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Winning Response with Jen and Crystal. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and rate this podcast, and we encourage you to share with others. If you want more information or want to connect, go to thewinningsresponse.com. Thanks for joining us today, and tune in next time on the Winning Response podcast.